Enjoying yourself?
Yes, thank you, Minister.
Enjoying yourself?
Lovely party.
Here's a shocking truth. The government you think is running the country might actually be running itself. Behind the jokes, this series exposes 13 powerful mechanics of bureaucracy designed to protect the machine, not the people caught in it. These aren't harmless quirks, they're warnings about the way power hides inside process. Let's break them down, because once you see them, you can't unsee them. Number 1, the perfect power triangle. Who really holds the steering wheel? The minister with the title, the civil servant with the experience, or the public who placed their votes? The picture looks like a triangle, but not a neat one. It's Hacker at one corner, Humphrey at another, and Bernard balancing it out. The trick is that this shape isn't accidental. It's built so no one ever stands alone.
Commander.
Watch how responsibility bounces. A minister points to public expectation. A civil servant shrugs toward policy rules. Bernard raises loyalty as his shield. Each side stays protected while nothing moves. It looks like teamwork, but it's really a stalemate. That's the beauty and the darkness of it. The triangle isn't balance, it's gridlock. Energy is used, papers move, words fly, but progress stays still. The system survives, even when nothing gets done. Quick pause before we dive into the next hidden meaning. If you're enjoying this breakdown, make sure to hit that subscribe button right now. We've got even deeper minister theories. Trust me, you don't want to miss what's next. Number 2, Sir Humphrey's linguistic labyrinths. What if the sharpest tool in government isn't cash, orders, or even votes, but grammar? Sir Humphrey proves it. He doesn't crush opponents with power plays, he drowns them in sentences so layered and circular that no one dares pull them apart. Each speech is less an answer and more a maze. By the time a minister finds the entrance, the exit is already sealed.
Well, you know what compound interest is? Yeah. Yes. Well, jolly good thing to enjoy compound interest. Well, that's the sort of thing a compound.
When ministers plead for plain English, Humphrey responds with lectures so long they feel like endurance tests. The beauty of the trick is that it pushes them toward agreement even when they don't fully grasp what's been agreed to. Policy isn't blocked by argument, it's buried under phrasing, meaning gives way to language itself, and in that swap, bureaucracy sits firmly in control, speaking louder than the leaders who are supposed to run it. Number 3, the title drop payoff. Why does the phrase "Yes, Minister" land like both a joke and a quiet warning? On the surface, it sounds respectful, even deferential, but that politeness hides something far sharper. The yes isn't agreement, it's containment. It's a way of nodding along while making sure the request never leaves the room. The audience laughs because the line feels simple, even harmless. Yet the minister begins to notice what follows. That little syllable doesn't mean approval at all.
The typing pool, stationery, desks, office furniture and equipment, liaison between departments.
It's a placeholder that allows civil servants to seem cooperative while undercutting every demand. The real trick isn't what's spoken, it's the silence after. Behind every cheerful yes stands an invisible but, and once you hear that missing word, the entire title becomes the sharpest punchline in the series, a comedy catchphrase that doubles as shorthand for total political impotence. Number 4, hiding real politics in plain sight. The show almost never brings you inside Parliament itself. Strange, right? For a series about government, the big stage of democracy is missing. You don't see noisy debates or packed chambers. Instead, the camera lingers in narrow corridors, crowded offices, and stacks of files. It feels small, but that's the point. By stripping away the spectacle, the machinery underneath becomes sharper. The memos, the delays, the endless forms, they begin to look more solid than the speeches outside.
I was just wondering, Minister, if we might not use the Rhodesia solution.
In fact, the absence makes one thing clear. Real action doesn't happen where the public expects it. Parliament is technically there, always hovering in the background, but it barely matters. Decisions grind forward without it. What's revealed is unsettling. The visible stage of politics is just theatre, hiding the engine that hums behind the curtain. Number 5, Bernard's pedantic precision. Imagine an aide who interrupts a heated policy discussion to correct someone's grammar. That's Bernard in action. His pedantic streak slips into moments when you'd expect urgency, yet instead, he latches onto whether a phrase is technically accurate. On the surface, it comes across as comic relief, softening tense exchanges with a bit of linguistic nitpicking.
The administrative order you signed yesterday giving government departments power to take over local authority land.
But notice what happens in practice. The momentum halts. A potentially thorny debate is redirected toward wordplay. forcing everyone in the room to recalibrate. While Hacker wrestles with meaning and Humphrey maneuvers with rhetoric, Bernard's interruptions muddy the flow just enough to stall outcomes. This isn't random fussiness. Precision becomes a defense mechanism. By hiding behind technical definitions and exact wording, Bernard shields the bureaucracy. His corrections look harmless, but they protect the system by slowing decisions with semantic distractions. Number 6, the art of saying no by saying yes. What's more effective than straight-up refusal? Agreement that quietly makes action impossible. That's the art here. Civil servants rarely slam the door on a minister's plan. Instead, they nod, smile, and say yes. But with conditions so heavy they crush the idea before it can even stand, it starts small.
This is Sir Humphrey Appleby, my permanent secretary.
You mean he's only a temp?
A suggestion for reform gets kicked to a feasibility study. The study leads to a committee. The committee orders a review. Each step looks like progress, but together they form a conveyor belt to nowhere. The trick works because the minister hears agreement, while the system delivers paralysis. Every yes acts as another filter, stripping away urgency and leaving behind only paper trails. It's sabotage in slow motion, packaged as cooperation, and that quiet sabotage is often more crushing than an outright no. Number 7, the invisible House of Commons. Why do we never hear members of Parliament as a real force in the show? They exist in the background, yet their presence feels strangely ghost-like. The Commons is constantly referred to, but you never see the chamber itself. What you get is the shadow of its influence, drifting into conversations as a vague threat, rather than a tangible authority. Instead of MPs shaping events, they're spoken about like background noise, invoked when convenient. A minister can claim, Parliament won't allow this, and that alone justifies stalling, even if no debate is actually shown. It's a brilliant narrative trick. Politics looks alive, yet the elected body never truly acts.
Could I suggest perhaps we have bulletproof curtains for the office?
Bulletproof.
The Commons becomes less a governing institution and more an alibi. Bureaucracy treats it as a rumour, a distant spectre haunting each room, rather than a ruling presence. Number 8, Sir Humphrey, the classic scholar. Why does Sir Humphrey fill a modern political comedy with Latin phrases and quotes from dusty history books? Because every classical reference becomes a shield. When he drops a line from Rome or Greece, it cloaks his point in the aura of authority, timeless wisdom that feels far larger than the minister's day-to-day worries. Here's the twist. By summoning great men and their lofty ideas, Humphrey doesn't just sound clever.
Better mean, Humphrey.
Oh, it's quite simple. It means with or after or sometimes beyond. It's from the Greek, of course.
He makes Hacker look small, like questioning him means challenging centuries of tradition. It's less about history itself and more about shrinking the room until only one voice feels credible. The irony is sharp. What looks like intellectual flair is really strategic camouflage. Ancient perspective gets turned into modern armor. The scholarship becomes less education and more insulation, wrapping bureaucracy in a mantle that resists change. Number 9, set dressing as satire. Even the furniture mocks the minister. How? Look around his office and you'll notice the background is never neutral. The walls are lined with bulging files, papers stacked in towers tall enough to topple, and desks hidden under chaotic clutter. The joke isn't subtle. The minister is buried alive in his own workplace.
Yes. Oh, yes, I'll come down. Commander Forrest of the Special Branch. Shall I bring him in?
Oh, yes, please do.
But here's the twist. Those folders aren't just decoration. Each one represents a pause button, another excuse to delay. The gesture of shuffling files or signing papers dominates entire scenes, pretending to move issues forward while actually circling them endlessly. Number 10. The writer's room was the cabinet office. Why did Yes Minister feel closer to reality than a traditional sitcom? Because the writer's room operated less like a comedy team and more like an annex of the cabinet office. The script drew its texture straight from the corridors of Whitehall. That's why scenes didn't just sound funny, they sounded familiar to those inside government. The sharp twist is that the lines we laugh at often came from actual memos and briefings. Instead of inventing absurd jargon, the writers recycled it, polishing it into dialogue. When ministers stumble under a flood of phrasing, that's not fiction exaggerated, it's bureaucracy quoted nearly word for word. Number 11, what's in a name? Every title and honour sounds like it carries weight, but what do they really mean once the applause fades? In the series, lofty awards like CMG, KCMG and GCMG are tossed around not as achievements but as punchlines, reducing the grandeur of state recognition to inside jokes, and that sort of satire strips the glow right off the medals. Symbols meant to project dignity end up feeling hollow when the very people receiving them laugh at their emptiness. It tells you something about the honour system itself. More self-congratulation than reward for actual public service. Number 12, the promotion that changed nothing. What's the point of climbing the ladder if the building itself never changes? Promotions in the series always feel like major events. Ministers get new titles, jobs shift, and the tone suggests transformation. On paper, it looks like progress.
Yes, Bernard.
You know?
Yes, Bernard. Because you've just told me, Bernard.
But here's the catch. Inside Whitehall, nothing shifts at all. Civil servants don't move. The daily grind stays untouched. The same policies are pushed around the same desks no matter who sits at the top. It creates the illusion of momentum, yet under the surface the pulse never changes. That's why reshuffles play more like stage theatre than actual disruption. People swap offices, headlines announce promotions, but the machine carries on as if no one left the room. The joke isn't who earns the new badge, it's that the entire wheel keeps turning at the same rhythm, immune to personnel changes. Number 13, controlling the narrative. What matters more, what you do, or what you say about what you do? In government, the answer leans heavily toward the second. Reports, inquiries, and official statements create the appearance of command, even when little actually changes behind the curtain. It's stagecraft masked as policy. In the world of Yes Minister, this illusion is pushed to its sharpest edge. Independent inquiries, supposedly neutral, transform into protective tools. Instead of finding fault, they redirect blame, wrapping mistakes in neutral language that sounds objective.
Of course. One would like to, help oneself.
Speeches work the same way, loaded with phrasing about reform, fairness, and progress, yet carefully avoiding specific commitments. The real fight isn't over policy at all. It's over the narrative that the public receives. Control the language, and you control the perception. And the chilling trick is this. Once bureaucracy owns the story, it owns tomorrow. The darker truth running through every trick is simple. Bureaucracy protects itself first, last, and always. No matter how clever the minister appears, the machine knows how to stall, twist, and redirect until nothing threatens its survival. The show's question was sharp. Do ministers govern, or does the system govern them? Every episode pointed to the same answer. Drop a comment, share your own reading, and hit that subscribe button for more takes like this.